So welcome again. This is our question 6, and let's go straight to the first question, 6A. Assess 5 roles of electronic communication in managing modern organizations. 5 roles of electronic. So what is electronic communication? You need to start from there. Electronic communication is any kind of communication that is done electronically or by use of any electronic gadget, like a phone, a computer, email, or even anything. So long as you've done it electronically, that is what we call electronic communication. So what are the roles of electronic communication in modern organization? Number 1, electronic communication is used to lower communication costs. Like previously, for you to communicate, you are just supposed to write a letter, print it, type it, and all that. And then the printing costs. If you don't have that printer, you go for printing services, you have to pay a lot of money. But nowadays, when you just have a phone, you just send a text message and that is it. If you have a computer, email, and that is it. So electronic communication lowers communication costs than compared to the issue of physical kind of communication, or the normal way, traditional way, so to say, of doing communication, using files and all that, having an archive where information is stored there, printing documents, buying those files, name it. So it can be very costly at the end of the day. But having a computer, that means you just send email, the computer stores the communication, so you don't need to have an archive for the same. And then making an instant business decision. Yes, with the help of electronic communication, you can communicate something that needs feedback. You get the feedback at that moment in time and make a decision instantly. That is not possible in traditional communication, because traditional communication, maybe you could use letters. Write a letter to someone, send it via poster, or give it to the carriers. The moment that information reaches, that person also writes, looks for poster or cargo carriers, and then basically reaches. So at the end of the day, decisions will not be made in a one-time way, and like how it's happening, and like what is happening in the electronic communication. And then another role is the preservation of information. Yes, and I've basically talked about this in our number 1. It's easy to manage or to preserve communication electronically than traditionally. All those files, when you put them in an archive, sometimes you get to see that they become dusty, they become dirty. So even retrieving information becomes a whole lot of a stress. So that is not the case when it comes to electronic communication. So long as you know how you saved it and where you saved it, you just go and retrieve it without having to hassle too much. So preservation is easy with electronic information than traditional information. And then communication with distant people. Yes, at that time, at that moment, urgency. When you need to pass information, electronic communication can give you the liberty to communicate in 1 minute. The person reaches, the message reaches the person, and feedback comes back to you. That is not possible when it comes to traditional communication. So communication with distant people has been made much easier with electronic communication. And then we have communicating a large volume of information. Yes, that just one message can be sent to hundreds and thousands of people. But for the issue of traditional communication, that means if it's the same message, you need to have many copies of that message, especially if it's like printed. So if you want to reach 1,000 people, 1,000 copies. Imagine the expenses, the struggles of typesetting, the struggles of printing, and all that. But with electronic communication, you just take one message and deliver it, or maybe send it electronically to different mails. So you don't have to struggle. So long as you have the mail, it's just a matter of adding them, and then that one message is just sent to the 100 people. It can be the email message, can be a phone message, what you call a text message, can be a WhatsApp message. It's done easier. So communication in large volume can be done easier with electronic communication than with traditional communication. So those are roles of electronic communication in managing modern organizations. And then our second section of question 6, we have 5 ways on how you could use voice to enhance effective presentation in an annual general meeting. So how could you use a voice? How could you use your voice to enhance presentation? So when you present orally, or when you want to conduct what you call oral presentation, it's not just about talking. How the talking is done matters a lot, because how the talking is done is what is going to bring out either effective communication or ineffective communication. So how will you use, or how will we use our voices to make communication become effective? These are some of the ways that we have here. Volume, not too loud, not too low. Too loud, that means we'll be making noise for the audience. Too low, that means the audience will be struggling to hear. So volume, speak louder, not too much louder, and not too low, not too low in terms of the volume. So be aware of your volume, or be aware of the volume of your voice. That means your voice, projecting your voice more than you would do in a normal conversation. But it will depend on the size of the audience. The larger the audience, the higher the volume, and the lower, the less number of the people in that audience, then the lower the volume. So you need to variate your volume depending on. And then clarity. Voice, are you clear enough? Can people hear clearly what you're trying to speak, what you're trying to say? That is also another way of how you can use your voice to enhance effective presentation. So make sure that you speak clearly, be audible for people to listen and grab clearly what you're trying to present. And then number 3, use of pause. Pauses could mean something magic when it comes to presentation. Assume a presenter who has been talking from the first minute up to the last minute, without pause, without comma, without full stop, without question mark, such kind of a presentation. I think by assuming such kind of a scenario, you understand all the importance or the essentials of using pauses in presentation. So you see here they say, never underestimate the value of a well-placed pause. Used before or after an important phrase, a pause will make the phrase stand out. And that is very much true. So as much as you love talking, as much as you like talking, always make use of pauses. That is the only way you are going to make that communication effective enough. Because in absence of these pauses, that means you're talking like a machine, a talking machine, whereby there are no full stops, there are no commas, there are no whatever. So you'll also be giving a hard time to the audience, because they will not know whether the statement is full or it's not full, or where is the comma, where is the full stop, and so on. So make use of pauses. That will also enhance the effectiveness of your presentation. And lastly, we have number 4 here. Not lastly, number 4, we have pace. The pace. And the pace, it is in terms of how you speak. Are you so fast? Are you so slow? Or are you moderate? That is what you need to understand here. So the pace, do not be too fast in speaking. Do not be too slow. Just be at the center, moderate. If you're too fast, some words will be missed out by the listener. If you're too slow, sometimes it might sound boring. So basically, mind your pace. Last but not least, how you can use your voice to enhance effectiveness of presentation: tone and emphasis. And under tone and emphasis, we speak about tone variation. Tone varies depending on what you are presenting. The tone can be loud, the tone can be low, the tone can be a happy one, the tone can be a sad one, depending on what are you presenting, because tone also can play a major role in terms of communication effectiveness. So variate your tone accordingly. When you talk of variating your tone accordingly, it's according to the situation that you are, or according to the subject or the topic that you are presenting about. So these are some of the ways that you could use your voice to enhance a presentation. So the last section of question 6, which is question 6, it's not the last section, actually you have C and D. So question 6C, 5 ethical issues in communication. So this highlight 5 ethical issues in communication. What are these ethical issues? And I think we've done about the ethical communication in our previous past paper. And we say the ethical communication is just that kind or that type of communication that is free from errors, and free from lies, free from deception, name it. So 5 ethical issues in communication. Number 1, ensure transparency and honesty. That is the only way to be ethical. Respect confidentiality and privacy. Not everything you have to share it out, especially when it comes to an organization. Know what to share, know what to hold. So respecting confidentiality and privacy. And then speak non-judgmentally. When you talk of speaking non-judgmentally, that means you are not criticizing, or you are not judging, and you do not set expectations, and you are not offending others. So all those put in one basket, basically it becomes ethical communication. So make sure whenever you speak, do not judge others, respect others, do not offend others, but just be on the right lane. And then truthful and accurate communication. Yes, that is also another ethical issue you need to consider as far as communication is concerned. Any kind of communication you make sure it's accurate and true, to avoid the issue of deception, to avoid the issue of telling lies, to avoid the issue of misleading others. And then lastly, choosing the right time and place. Yes, time, place, that can also be an ethical issue. Not sometimes, not at all time, or not always you have the right to call. For example, if I'm a manager and I have my workers, that means if I'm a manager, I don't have to intrude into their privacy. If it's not working hours, why do I call even? So that is something else. So why do I communicate as such a sensitive communication, maybe outside hours, which are working hours? So such kind of things is what we make the ethical issues in communication. And then lastly, our last session of question 6, question 6B, roles of circulars and newsletters in communication. So circulars and newsletters, these are modes of written communication, because we talked of written communication in one of the questions in our previous past paper, and we said written communication comes in so many ways. We gave examples of letters, text messages, reports, but also circulars and newsletters are types of written communications. And these are kind of written communications that are used in business organizations for purposes of either advertising, communicating, informing, instructing, educating, and name them. So the 5 roles that I have here with me of circulars and newsletters in an organization, they are used for purposes of conveying information. Any kind of information that you feel is newsworthy, you can give it through a newsletter. Any kind of information that you feel the people in the organization needs to know, you can give it through a circular. So depending on what kind of communication, circulars and newsletters are used to convey information. They are also used to give industry updates, or to give business insights. You can most of the times, newsletters are used for this purpose. That's why you see it's been specific. Newsletter provide industry updates as well as business insights. So those circulars can also give the same, but this is a function, or this is a role that is mostly played by newspapers. And then they also help you connect with the audience. Yes, you can use a newsletter and a circular to connect with the audience. If you feel it's a high time I need to connect with my audience, how do I reach them, or how do I connect with them? You can use circulars, you can use newsletters. And then also newsletters and circulars can also be used to increase web traffic, especially if they're posted in a company website. If they're posted in the company website, everybody will be. Sometimes you even set it in a way whereby whenever you send the newsletters or circulars to the people, they get a notification. The moment they get a notification, they go straight to the website or to the notification, and they scroll. They get to wherever the circular is or the newsletter is. So that is a way of creating a web traffic for you. So people will be visiting your website, they'll try to see what information has been posted there, and that is what you call a web traffic. You can be able to create web traffic, make people visit your website regularly through the use of newsletter, or even the use of circulars. And then they can also be used to educate and advertise. Yeah. You can use the circulars and newsletters to give information or to advertise about your product, to advertise about your service. So that's why you say you can use newsletters and circulars to educate and to advertise. So that is our 6th question. See you in our next question, question 7. Thank you.